Good morning, one and all. Good afternoon, good evening, good night, whenever you happen to stumble across us. This is Monday Football Monday on the SB Nation NFL Show, the first show to get your week started here at the SB Nation NFL Show. And a reminder that this show is brought to you by DraftKings. DraftKings Sportsbook is an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app today and use code SBNNFL for a special offer when you sign up. That's code SBNNFL only at DraftKings Sportsbook. As mentioned, this is Monday Football Monday, the best show that the SB Nation NFL Show has to offer. Why is it the best? Well, first of all, you can participate along with us. We stream this show live on the SB Nation NFL Facebook page, Twitter page, and YouTube channel. You can, of course, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, Apple devices, Spotify. Leave a rating, write a review. Those things help us out. They put bread on our tables, so to speak. Who is our? I am RJ Ochoa from SB Nation's Blog on the Boys. He is Pete Sweeney from SB Nation's Arrowhead Pride. And on the ones and twos, wicka. Today, it is not the fantastic Rachel. It is Steven Serta. So I am surrounded by AP Nation. But joining me now on screen, finally, it is the beautiful baritone stylings of one Pedro Sweeney. Pete, happy Monday to you, sir.
Happy Monday. Happy President's Day. It's a holiday. It's the off season. We got a lot to discuss. I feel like we are starting to get into our off-season groove here on the SB Nation NFL Show, and we know that means it's time to speculate. So speculate we will, and let's do it.
Yeah, it is a holiday, so a lot of people are off. At the time of our streaming, it is to be determined whether or not some of those people will be at the NFL Combine shortly. There is a potential boycott happening, so whatever happens there one way or another, we obviously don't know in this particular moment, but we'll have you covered here on the SB Nation NFL Show. Last week, Pete, we had to be honest, we killed it.
I had a quick comment about the Combine, and then we'll go.
Oh, okay.
What I'm learning
I had already moved on, but go ahead. Just ruin the flow. Let's go. Go for it. Do your thing.
No. Let's stop the flow for a second. No, I'm learning that through some of these agent tweets, they're very upset about the bubble aspect of this. But I'm learning through a lot of these agent tweets that I don't even think they like the Combine all that much. So I wonder if this was a grand mistake by the NFL, where like the Power Rangers, or Steve, whatever that movie you like is, where they all put their powers and they say, someone unite. What's the thing, unite? I think that this could be bad for the future of the Combine. And the NFL has wanted to make this an event. Avengers. There we go. Yeah. Where all the agents come together and say, man, this actually kind of makes our players look bad in general. I mean, they're like tweeting sometimes. You're like, it probably does more bad than good to tweet. And I wonder if this was a mistake for NFL owners, for the agents to kind of look at each other. Not that they don't talk all the time, but for them to look at each other and say, why are we doing this in the first place? And I wonder if this will be like a moment we look back and say, yeah, that was kind of the beginning of the end of the NFL Combine. Could be. I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah, potential break point here. Interesting, Pete, that you think it's funny that somebody would like the movie Avengers or even Power Rangers. Steven, I'm with you. All right, Steven and I, we like the same things. All right, you know anything about Tick Tick Boom, Pete? All right, because Steven and I, we chat all about this.
I know anything about Tick Tick Boom. I know that you have to sing every 3 minutes.
Okay, so now that we're fully back on board after Pete ruined the flow, last week's episode, a banger. We killed it last week. Lots of great feedback about our list that we put together. This, you mentioned, it's the off-season grind. People like lists, all right? That's the thing. You want some pop, you want some SEO, make a list. Boom. You know how it goes. I know Pete. You know all about the grind.
Making a list, checking it twice. Gonna find out.
Okay, so in the spirit of lists, we are going to put together another one here, Pete. All right, now get your crystal ball out. All right, it's time for magic. We are going to guarantee 10 things that will happen this offseason. Now, like last week, Pete, it can be as literal as you want. You can say there will be no football played. All right, it's up to you. Hey, if you can live with yourself, it's up to you.
Football. What is it? What is it, Major League Baseball?
I'm just saying that you have to predict yourself 4 things that you believe will happen this coming off season. I will predict 4 things that are going to happen this offseason. After we each go twice, we'll have Steven come in, drop one, and then Steven will give us the cherry on top to end it. So 4, 4, and 2, that's how we're going to roll. But you kind of mentioned magic a little bit. I mentioned the crystal ball because, Pete, we got to put some oomph. This is Monday Football Monday. I know the Oddcast thinks they have this thing. I know Steven would couch for NFL University.
What is the word again? What is the word you just said?
Oh, the is the word I said.
Okay, I wasn't sure. There was a word after that, and I wasn't familiar with it.
The Oddcast. I think they spell it AWD. Like, oh.
There's another.
Yeah,
okay.
The Oddcast.
Well, I mean, that's good. I'm glad that we're getting more shows on the SB Nation.
Right. No, totally. But so this is the command you have to enunciate right before you give your guarantee of what is going to happen this offseason. I didn't tell you this part in the pre-show prep, but are you ready for this?
Yeah,
All right. So before you give your guarantee, Steven, I know you're listening to this, has to go to you as well. You have to go, I guarantee that this will happen this offseason. Like you're casting a spell. All right.
Okay. I'll do that.
You have to do it. You have to. That's the rule. I don't make the rules. All right.
Okay.
This was written somewhere. I didn't make it up on the way in. So are you ready?
I believe that Steve's going to do that, but yeah, go ahead. You go.
All right. So our like kind of rules here, again, not made up at all, where if somebody says something, you can't take it. And you can't say two things of the same vein. So you can't say like quarterback X will be traded and then say quarterback Y will be traded. You have to kind of differentiate them as much as you want. So Pete, because we can't repeat one another and because you are so handsome, I will let you go first. But remember, you got to cast the spell. Hit me with it.
Okay. I guarantee this will happen this offseason, and it's the NFL will see at least one new owner enter the fold.
Whoa.
Yeah. Okay. So there's a couple candidates here, of course, right? So
Can I guess them? Can I guess the candidates? Come on.
There's three.
How many candidates do you have?
3 candidates.
Okay. Washington, Denver, and
where did you and I see the grandest paella we have ever
welcome
seen
to the city where the heat is on. I don't know the next line, but welcome to Miami. Okay.
That's right. Shout out to Will Smith. We're on the pursuit of happiness, and that might include a new owner, Stephen Ross, right? He's under NFL investigation at the moment for paying Brian Flores to lose. And I think the most interesting part of this one is the fact that Cameron Wolf, who was formerly of ESPN, the NFL network, I guess, decided to back up the truck. He made the old switch, the opposite Adam Schefter, if you will. And he said originally he had word from a witness that this actually happened. And then, I don't know if you know this, but the NFL network is owned by the NFL. And that just suddenly kind of disappeared. And people stopped talking about that. And it was never talked about again. And I think as this goes on, people are going to remember that and be like, I think there's some validity to this. Now, is there a paper trail? I think that's what's going to have to get this done. I don't know. We'll have to end up seeing, but you can't pay to lose. It's the integrity of the game. And if it's guaranteed and if it goes through and it seems like this was a real thing, I don't know how you don't put this owner out. You just can't have it. It's similar to, I don't know why I'm thinking about this, but Pete Rose and betting on the game and the Hall of Fame thing. And I, still to this day, because it's just so black and white. And I think that's where it will potentially push Ross out and they'll have to get a new owner in. Right.
Yeah. Nice that you would bring up another Pete Rose. Agree.
Yeah. Greatest hitter of all time. Jeter up there. Okay, so Washington. Now, Dan Snyder, this one's obvious. We don't really need to go into the super detail here. It's just instance after instance, moment after moment, and enough skeletons, I think, for the league to say, it's time to make a change if they want to. Now, I think what's always interesting about Washington, and I've said it here before, is Washington and Dan are by far the worst when it comes to these type of things. But I think there are a lot of things in the NFL, and I think I can reasonably say that, where other owners have been involved in, I don't want to say similar things, but other moments of, should ownership have been doing that? And it's just, you're setting a new precedent there. And I think that's where maybe Snyder gets protected in the fact that we don't want to open up what would be the equivalent of Pandora's box. And so remains to be seen, but Washington is another candidate. And here comes the guarantee. Very less spicy than my first two. Bland, vanilla yogurt, if you will. The Mullen family literally has the Broncos up for sale. So we're guaranteed at least one. But my point here is there's at least one. It might be two. And in a wild turn of events, it could be 3.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. A little bit of a vanilla yogurt, prediction to start. I mean, especially factoring in the Broncos.
I knew I was
if you had said one non-Broncos team will change ownership, then I'm sitting here singing songs of your praise.
See, I know. I hate that I have to make this a teaching moment as we're live on the air, but you start soft. You don't want to go super hard at the beginning, and you build up.
I see. You want a crescendo.
Listening.
That's what you were doing. Yeah, gotcha. Okay. I like. I mean, I don't like that. Obviously, there's some terrible things happening here. The Broncos thing obviously makes sense. I already kind of think this, and we have a long list. We have to move on. But if Peyton Manning is part of the ownership group that buys the Broncos, I already kind of think, just in my own personal opinion, that Peyton sort of identifies himself as a Bronco. Like it's weird how Peyton is just so like Denvered out. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that will like further clarify that in my mind. Does that make sense?
I think so. Yeah, and it is a little bit odd. You would have thought right after his career he'd consider himself more of an Indianapolis Colt, just like Brett Favre did, for example, going right back to the Packers, and that makes the most sense. But yeah, no, he's kind of leaned into the Denver thing, and even to a point of like I remember there was a clip where his kids wanted a Mahomes jersey, and he hated that. And so I think he really does consider himself maybe more of a Bronco than a Colt, actually.
I mean, it makes sense from like a biological perspective. Like a Colt becomes a Bronco. You know what I'm saying? Like it's natural evolution of life. So good for you. Good for you, Pete. Great. Not great start. That would be a lie. Let me show you how it's done. All right. Now that one was a little bit more legitimate. Mine is a little bit more vague and ambiguous, but you got to learn how to play the game. All right. Because we're going to come back. We're going to measure ourselves against this when this is all over and see who was right. Maybe we put a Chipotle Carnitas burrito on it. Who knows how it goes. But
I like that. Yeah. Chips.
I guarantee this will happen this offseason. All right.
Well, yeah.
Joe Burrow will have he's just getting started moment. There will be some report, something, some inkling that will take everyone's Joe Burrow-ness to the next level. A la Patrick Mahomes is, I'm just now learning how to read defenses. That was, I'll be frank with you, Pete and Steven, that was really annoying. And so there will be something like that. There will be a hot takey, narrative-y, drippy sort of statement about Joe Burrow that everyone will latch onto and say, watch out, here he comes. The Bengals are back. Burrow's back. I mean, it is going to be heavy Burrow mania. He came back last year. He was literally comeback player of the year. He is coming for it all. Hoo-day, hoo-day. That's going to happen.
It's already started. I think it was last week that Peter Schrager, who notoriously has been Mr. Chiefs the last 3 or 4 years.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
Really quick to turn his back on Kansas. I'm now calling him the former Arrowhead Pride advocate, friend of Arrowhead
he
Pride,
is to the Chiefs what Peyton Manning is to the Colts kind of thing. I see what's going on.
Kind of thing. Former Arrowhead Pride advocate Peter Schrager went on Good Morning Football, which is widely watched by people in the league and outside and fans and whatnot. And he already handed the AFC to Joe Burrow. I think a little soon. I mean, doesn't even have a Super Bowl ring or MVP period. But hey, look, you know what? You wanna do it? I get it. Twice in like 3 or 4 weeks. One of the games sent the team to the Super Bowl. So okay, I mean that's fine. Yeah, but I think it's what I'm saying to you is I think it's already started. So I'd like the guarantee. I mean,
no, I'm saying there will be like spicy? There will be some report, like it will be like a sit down with GQ or like an ESPN cover story that Mina Kimes writes, and it will be a great story. You know what I'm saying? But there will be like a line where he's, something to the effect of, it's all starting to finally click for me. I was still catching up to the NFL last year. It's starting to slow down, and that it would be something like that, like the NFL slowing down for Joe Burrow. Watch out.
I know that you said, okay, Pete, your take wasn't bold enough. I'd argue that maybe your take's already happened already. So I mean, maybe we both can agree we got off to some slow starts here.
All right, okay, let's move on. So we each have one more than Steven's coming in for his first one. So Pete, again, sing the song before. You know the drill.
Okay, here we go. I guarantee that this will happen this offseason. We see an overtime rule change, and it may just be specifically for the postseason. Pretty clear. I mean, and I hate to say this. I know this is a national podcast. I love every fan base, but this is pretty clearly a Kansas City versus the world thing. Didn't happen in 2019, but when it cost darling of the league, Josh Allen, and the table breakers and the Buffalo fan base, that's when everyone is up in their hands in the air. Not when Tom Brady moves on and can get his 1,000th Super Bowl. This will be simple. I think eventually it's in the playoffs only. Despite a touchdown, both teams will need at least one offensive possession. So if it's a pick six, game over, yada, yada. And I think this will get really interesting when it comes to, and this is like, as we get to the adapting of the rule, this will get interesting when it comes to the second team going for 2 points. Let's say, okay, team one, they get the ball, score a touchdown. They're up 7. Team 2 scores a touchdown, but they say, look, we don't want to give a sudden death situation back to the other team. It's going to be a once a year, twice a year type of play. Think Ron Rivera, think John Harbaugh, think Brandon Staley. They're going to go for 2, and that is going to be the most exciting play in football because right there, it's do or die. And every year it's for whether or not one city goes on. Might happen once a year, twice, but it'll be the most exciting play in football, the 2-point conversion for the second team.
You mentioned this is a Kansas City versus the world thing. I have learned from you, Pete, that there are a lot of things that Kansas Cityans, KCM Owens, seem to think are all about them, which is basically everything. Every Chiefs fan thinks everything is about them.
Was there not a proposal that was turned down? And doesn't it seem like there's more momentum?
You're rewriting history. No, the first time that these goalposts were moved were because Brett Favre, who you already mentioned, because his Minnesota Vikings didn't get a chance to possess the ball in the 2009 NFC Championship game. It was, oh my gosh, Brett Favre didn't get to touch the ball. What are we going to do? We have to rewrite the rules. This is ridiculous. We have to. It can no longer. That's when things changed from sudden death.
2019, and it got shut down. And you can tell. I'm just saying, this was 2019. Proposal quickly shut down, and you could already tell there's more momentum for it to pass this time. It might not.
All I'm saying is that the Chiefs were not the catalyst that sparked outrage and faux-ness. It was Brett Favre. It was the league feeling like Brett Favre didn't get a chance to possess the ball, and that was when things changed from sudden. I miss
that offseason. I might not know that. Did they submit a proposal that offseason?
Who, the Vikings? That was when after the 2009 season was when things changed, and then they instituted the change in 2011 that required you to score a touchdown on your opening possession. And I thought you would know this, Mr. AFC West. Maybe Mr. AFC West is Peyton Manning. It was the 2011 playoff game between the Broncos and the Steelers that Tim Tebow hit Demaryius Thomas on. That was the first opportunity that we were going to see you have to score a touchdown first. They literally scored a touchdown on the first play, right. So we didn't really get to kind of see it in action. Yeah, but yeah. So my point is, it's not all about the Chiefs. I know Stats has said this before on the show that will not be named. I don't feel like there's an issue with overtime. I don't feel like there was an issue. I miss sudden death. Maybe I'm a traditionalist, but I don't think this like you're right. Like there is generally like a victim driving the narrative. Like we have to change this. This is so unfair. We didn't get to see this. No, it's unfair, Buffalo, and I love you. You let the Chiefs kick a field goal with 13 seconds left. Like that's what's unfair. Like you want to win it in regulation. I'm a purist.
This is a problem for all sports. It's just hard to come up with a reasonable solution because everything you do is it's a variation from the actual game. And football has that problem.
Everything too, so you do, you can think of an example to disprove it, or like to make it stupid. And that's just why like it should have never changed. It should have always been sudden death. That's just, hey. That's how we rock, Pete. All right, are you ready for?
I guarantee it'll be changed this offseason anyway. Despite what we get.
I'm up. All right, I think you're gonna like this one. I guarantee that this will happen this offseason. Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
There will be rumors of Andrew Luck coming out of retirement this offseason. He made an
appearance recently, didn't he?
He was at, was it the Big Ten championship at Lucas Oil?
I think it was NFL. Oh no, it was the Big Ten championship. Wasn't
I'm pretty certain it might have been the national title game, but you're right. But my point is, it's been a while. It will have been 3 years. All right. Colts offensive line, a little bit better situation. Colts defense, a little bit better situation, right? Colts coaching staff, Andrew Luck obviously knows, a little bit better situation. The sell is we're a quarterback away. All right. Andrew, look, bro, AL 12. We've tried. All right, we've tried everything. All right, we've tried Phillip Rivers. We've tried Carson Wentz. We have Sam Ellinger on the roster. We really don't want to, really take this seriously.
Gives him a call. Hello, Andrew. Yeah, it's Chris. I had a hard time replacing you, so why don't you come on back now?
I mean, it will pick up steam. I thought about going Big Ben will do his I don't know if I'm really done thing, but that's super predictable. I wanted to be a little bit bolder.
I think Big Ben is done. I really think Big Ben is done. I think Brady's more likely for what you just said.
There will be that. Again, that's not my guarantee, but the comment that will stir the narrative up for Ben will be I miss it. That will be the headline, Big Ben misses training camp vibes or something like that. But
that is the weird part of the offseason is players can say almost anything, and then you could spin it into what would be like a blog post or an article, and all of a sudden, because there's such little tangible S.
Right.
I think the S word right here.
So anyway, back to the point.
Talk about
it's been 3 years, and Andrew Luck's still incredibly young, still obviously in all likelihood a franchise quarterback from a talent perspective. This is, and like, again, if you're Andrew Luck, I mean, it's not like the AFC South is difficult to take. Like, if you're going to come back and you're going to do it one time, now would be the time. Boom. Roasted.
I don't disagree. I definitely think.
All right. 2 for 2.
Get some steam. He seemed pretty happy. I can't really remember exactly how the conversation went, but it looked like a guy that had the weight off his shoulders. I mean, we hadn't really seen him in like 1,000 days. So we'll see.
That's 3 years. Good math right there. Okay.
I gotta think, and this plays into Luck too, because quarterbacks can be a little older, and Tom Brady has now shown like quite older. This could be a rumored thing for a long time. I mean, what is he? Andrew Luck is 33, correct? 34.
I will verify that for you. But he is. Your official guess is 33. He is 32. He will be 33 on September 12th.
See, I even added a year. I mean, you could make a case,
Rounding
I think,
up
for another 3 years that he could still come back and still like play another like 2 to 3 if he wanted. Crazy. And you know what? That would be a wild comeback because he's so damn good that it just would be stunning. Anyway.
Okay. Steven, welcome aboard. Steven, again,
Big
filling
Steve.
in for Rachel today. Steven, first question of the 4 that we have listed, which one is the best?
I'm going to go with the Andrew Luck retirement.
Let's go.
Yeah, I think that's for off-season narrative stuff. I'm on board.
Arrowhead Pride podcast producer.
Round 1 goes to RJ.
A Schrager-esque turning of his back on the franchise. But go ahead, Steve. Sorry.
Good for you, Steven. All right, Steven, remember the spell you must cast and what your prediction is.
So it's okay. My off-season guarantee, number 5. I kind of forgot to pick one. Oh, I got a whole list right here. Hang on one second. Okay, this one's for RJ. Someone is going to way overpay free agent tight end Dalton Schultz after one good year of production, just like the Browns did with Austin Hooper a couple of years ago.
Fellow Stanford tight end Austin Hooper, along with Dalton Schultz. So look at that. Steven has something against the Cardinal.
And just talked about Andrew Luck, too.
That's right. So
the Stanford.
A year ago.
Welcome to the Stanford part of Monday Football Monday. I'm sorry.
A year ago, coming off the 2020 season, a lot of Cowboys fans were like, man, Dalton Schultz was really good in 2020. Man, and I don't know how – I know you know this, Steven, because you grind. I don't know how much Pete knows this. Pete likes to sit 30,000 feet above the surface. Beginning in 2020, the 2020 season, Cowboys starting tight end was Blake Jarwin. Tore his ACL week 1 at SoFi where the Super Bowl just was. So something about that field, just point that out. Odell Beckham Jr., no big deal. So Dalton Schultz comes in, plays really well. And the narrative on him from Cowboys fans was like, wow, this was a really good season. And I remember tweeting this out last year. His statistical season last year, or in 2020 rather, was like identical to Jason Witten in 2019, the year he came out of retirement. And everybody said like, Witten is so washed. And I remember when I tweeted it last year, but it's like, wait a minute. I wasn't ready for this context. Like, it was a little bit of context. Like, Schultz not as great as we think. Witten was a little bit better than we thought in 2019, etc. But Schultz caught some touchdowns, had some nice moments, has kind of been the first real tight end to have success in Dallas since Jason Witten. So I kind of agree with you, Steven. If you're a Cowboy, you have success, do it on prime time. That generally leads to somebody overpaying for you. Who do we think? Do you want to add a team? Do you want to add 2 teams or something? Because I like this one. I could see him being the highest paid tight end in free agency.
I haven't thought about landing destinations. Let me think here. It's not going to be the Packers. They don't have any money, but they could use a pass catching tight end.
Yeah, for Rodgers to overthrow on 3rd down in the playoffs for sure. Right.
When you just think about it, though, good tight ends don't hit the free agent market. It's always guys like Dalton Schultz who wind up signing big contracts somewhere else because really good tight ends wind up re-signing with their teams because tight ends are affordable and they're not expensive.
Taking
Johnny Smith disrespect. Wow.
Just taking a quick look at targets. I mean, the Packers' number 1 target at tight end was DeGuara. You had the Texans' Pharaoh Brown, Colts' Mo Alley Cox, Jags' Dan Arnold, who I believe was a late trade in the offseason. There's a lot of candidates for
Jacksonville's interesting. They got
New Orleans, Troutman. Like, I think there are a couple names out there where Schultz can make a nice buck here.
Okay. All right. 1 to 10, I grade your prediction a hard 8, Steven. Hard 8 from me. What about you, Pete?
B+.
Okay, we're going numerical grades, but whatever. Okay, great job, Steven. Okay, so we're halfway home. Pete Sweeney.
Whoa,
number 6.
We're halfway there. All right.
You know what? Different subject, different song. The song "Pour Some Sugar on Me"? I'm sure once upon a time you've been in a dance hall. It's come on. You've lit the place on fire, right?
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah,
the
really
whole
brought
premise.
the house down.
The whole premise is pour some sugar on me, right? Like I want the sugar flowing all over me, right? In the bridge, it said, "Do you take sugar 1 lump or 2?" So the established unit of measurement for the sugar, it's not like some granulated sugar. It's literally lumps of sugar. So that's the sugar you're asking to be poured on you. So like you just want like all these cubes of sugar like hitting you in the face. I've always thought that's very weird.
Yeah, no, they should have made sure to say spoonful.
Like 1 tablespoon or 2, teaspoon, something like that.
Mrs. Poppins, she tended to have it right, and I feel like everyone after her should have followed suit. They didn't. Since RJ ruined my transition, I'll repeat it. We're halfway there. Whoa, living on a prayer like this guy, Carson Wentz, who will live his way on a prayer to another starting job, and he'll disappoint a team for one last time. I guarantee this will happen this offseason. This will be the equivalent of a retirement tour, but the worst retirement tour of all time in NFL history. So I believe Indianapolis can cut him soon, and they plan to. That's the report, right? They're going to move on and save all that money. Ended up losing the first round pick, and for absolutely no reason, unfortunately for them. And I think there are a number of teams out there who would be interested in Wentz, and probably because they lose out on what would be the Mr. Unlimited sweepstakes, or potentially Rodgers and some of that flirting that'll go on, maybe a Watson. And these are the teams: Carolina, Houston, Pittsburgh, New Orleans, and Denver. I think Wentz will enter that fold. He'll show enough in the preseason to fool everybody. He'll stink. And then he'll either be a career backup or call it quits and maybe do the RG3 ESPN deal. But I think this is the last hurrah. Wentz in a different uniform for some other team. Speaking of like living on a prayer, I really oddly like the Texans here, because I think that they're going to make a mistake, and Jack, a famous Jack, is really going to like the fact that Wentz is so in touch with God. And I think that'll be the last hurrah. It'll be Wentz in Houston. A perfect quarterback to make sure that Houston can fire Lovie Smith, which is what they want to do, and then bring McCown in 23 and a new quarterback in 23. So there you go. Carson Wentz.
So just to be clear, because you were like, oh, your Barrow thing's already happening. Even though it's already been reported that the Colts will trade or release Carson Wentz, your guarantee is that Carson Wentz will be playing somewhere other than Indianapolis next season.
No, it's that he'll be a starting quarterback. Like I think some people were saying that this would be the last chance for Wentz.
So your guarantee is that he gets another starting opportunity.
Week 1 for one of the teams I mentioned, or I'm not saying that, but for a team out there in the world, maybe it's an injury, who knows? He will be starting week 1 for a franchise, yes. Yeah, disappointment tour, like retirement tour, but it's like the retirement disappointment tour.
Houston would be funny.
Doesn't that seem so likely though to me? I don't know. To me,
I like if he's released, no, because if there's one quarterback we know is afraid of the narrative, it's Carson Wentz, right? Like Carson's like, Nick Foles is there? No way. I don't want anything to do with it.
Wentz is in a territory where he's really going to be without a choice at this point. I mean, he's going to have to go to a place that desperately.
I know, but if he goes to Houston, he has to play not only the Colts twice and therefore prove that they're better than him and he was the problem, but he also has to play Doug Peterson twice. Like Carson Wentz wants nothing to do with that. I know you love it, but he doesn't. The
stories are writing themselves. I can already see the SEO and the clicks and happy bosses here at SB Nation. Let's make it happen. Carson Wentz to Houston. Let's get the rumor out there.
I think I would love to see him play for Washington. That would be hilarious. I would just love that so much. I would love, in a weird way, for him to go to Detroit. Let's get him and Goff on the same team. Let's make it happen.
Oh man, would Goff versus Wentz in training camp be the worst quarterback battle in NFL history?
It'd be up there. I'm not gonna lie though, Pete. This was like, there's normally like a great tune that sends you to intermission, right? We went to intermission, got some refreshments, maybe got some M&Ms. You a peanut or plain M&Ms guy?
Depends on the day. I can do both, but I prefer probably peanuts most of the
time. Same. So we got some peanut M&Ms, a refresher. You know what I mean? We sat down, and generally speaking, the first song out of intermission, not that great. Kind of falls flat. Not necessarily in tone, but just in quality. That's what happened here.
Yeah.
You know, you were in a tough spot.
I don't know about that. I almost cut in and said, let me give this before Steve, because it kind of fit with our last one. And I said, you know what? I want to let Steve shine. It's President's Day. And I let him shine, and it kind of ruined what would have been a perfect transition to this one. But I don't, I try to always think about the show, unlike some other folks on here. But
okay.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to continue forward, and I feel like we're gaining some momentum with these offseason guarantees. Yeah.
Okay. Ready? Are we ready for this? Are we ready for mine?
Yeah.
I'm stepping. I said you were 30,000 foot up. I'm going higher above. All right. We're cruising at altitude. Take your seatbelt off. Whatever. I guarantee that this will happen this offseason. The only top NFL broadcast team to not feature a significant change will be CBS's Jim Nantz, Tony Romo, Tracy Wolfson. Every other primary broadcast crew will see some sort of change. And I'm talking about the core four. So you've got Fox, Joe Buck, Troy Aikman, Aaron Andrews. Super Bowl's on Fox this year, by the way, so an important detail there. You've got NBC with Al Michaels, obviously, if we're to trust Eminem's word here, definitely headed for something else. Michelle Tafoya, obviously, is leaving. We'll leave it at that. And Chris Collinsworth, I don't know what's going to happen to my man CC. Like, I don't know if you're NBC, like it's going to be Mike Tirico, and I think Catherine Tappan is a silent reporter, but do you want a full restart? Do you want to is that Drew Brees' job? And Monday Night Football has been super awkward. The Manning cast has kind of taken all the thunder from it. I just don't like that crew it's the least pizzazzy to me. Plus we now have the Amazon Thursday Night Football crew to work with. By the way, Pete, there was a report from the Sports Business Journal on Monday morning. Amazon wants a Black Friday game. All right, you do all your shopping on Black Friday. Now you'll be able to open the app, get your your electronics and stuff 12% off, and watch a game. So that's my prediction.
I'm more of a Cyber Monday guy, but that's beside the point. I have no interest in going physically in person, especially during what we just went through the last 3 years. Another thing, I agree with your point a little bit, and you sort of touched upon it. I feel for the ESPN telecast, because before the Manning cast started, it was criticized.
Because Steve Levy, Brian Greasy, Louis Riddick crew is what we're talking about, and Lisa Salters.
Yeah, I'm a little bit less of a Greasy guy, but I think like Riddick and Levy were pretty good and fun, right? Because sometimes like the announcers take it a little too seriously. I mean, sometimes it's the other way where you kind of got to get a nice Goldilocks in the middle situation there. But I really think that in the decision to use the Manning cast, it really oddly undercut your own broadcast team. Like I would have maybe liked to have seen instead the Manning cast almost be like a review of the week of football where they bring on guests, because it's entertaining. Don't get me wrong. Like I like the Manning cast, but I just really think it was a disservice to poor Levy and Riddick, who I think, do a pretty good job. But if you have on the other channel of your own company, the Mannings talking to Phil Mickelson or like Aaron Rodgers or Brady,
that's a rough name
Gronk,
to say right now too.
Or most importantly, Travis Kelce. I mean, you're going to want to watch that. So I don't know. To me, it was an interesting call for sure.
So do you agree? Because there's several components of this. Do you agree that CBS's top crew remains untouched? Jim, Tony, and Tracy. Okay.
Yeah.
Fox, do you agree that there is some change to Joe, Troy, and Aaron? Aaron, by the way, who was on the SB Nation NFL show during the lead up to Super Bowl 56.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of chatter about Troy. I don't know how well tapped in you are to that. Troy's got a new beer, by the way. But so there's been a lot of chatter about him leaving.
Troy also, it was, during the postseason that he basically complained on air about the game he had, which it seems like that's only something you do if you're on the way out. So I'm going to agree. It was during the Bucs game, I believe, right?
It was during Bucs Eagles, because that was leading up to Cowboys Niners, and he was very bitter that they did not have that. I could see Troy on Thursday Night Football with Al Michaels. That'd be great. But so it is what it is. So you agree that there's some change to the Fox crew. There's obviously a change coming to NBC, but do you think Chris Collinsworth stays?
I think Chris stays without.
So you think it's Tirico, Chris,
Yes.
and Catherine Tappan? Okay. And then do you think there's a change to ESPN's telecast?
Yeah, that seems obvious. I don't know. Like I said, I think the company undercut its own crew, and now they're going to feel pressure to shake it up again. Yeah.
Okay. Good job, me. All right, we each have one more, and then Steven comes in to just land this plane. So this is your last one, Pete. All right, and let's be honest, you had some stinkers so far. Like
Steven, I'm going to lean into tight end free agency. By the way, this man's
you can't do that. That was the whole point. We can't repeat each other.
Voided today.
If your thing is about to be that Gronk retires, then you have to leave right now.
This is my guarantee for the offseason. Rob Gronkowski will not retire, and he will join a team that is going to surprise you. Let's go to his gal pal, Camille Kostick, in a recent interview. I would love to watch him play football some more. He knows that. I tell him. And then she also said when he retired, he wasn't feeling right, and he came back when he felt good. So it's really going to be truly like a game-time decision. And then Gronk, in a separate interview, said, I kind of like this young buck quarterback. He's in the Super Bowl now. It's Joe Burrow, man. I watched him in college. I just love the way he presents himself out of the football field. In the pocket, he's so calm. He just slings it all over the field. I just love his swag, too. If I had to pick a quarterback, it'd be the young buck, Joe Burrow. He's killing it right now in the game. And to me, that was a watershed moment where we said, okay, well, Gronk will only play with Brady. I mean, there's no doubt. This was a complete pivot. And he's got his lady, unlike Ms. Giselle, and she has all the reason in the world for this. Tom Brady's been playing for 20 years, who really wanted to see Tom retire. Camille's like, I'm trying to see my baby boy play a little bit. And so I like the idea of Gronk staying in the league and him joining another team. And I just think seeing Gronk play with a quarterback that's not Tom is going to be surreal. If you want to say it's going to be the Cincinnati Bengals, let's buy it. Who's their tight end? Uzama. Gronk is an upgrade, but you can run some 2 tight end sets. I like the idea of Gronk going there. He's already kind of said it out loud, and that would put him, if you're joining the AFC champions, right with another contender. They're probably going to rebuild this offensive line or to some extent this offseason. I think they're going to be a better team and have even a greater chance of coming back to the AFC title game at least. And so it's kind of like, let me see if I can do it. And again, from this little Chiefs insight, I've said it before, but I'll say it again. Steve Spagnuolo, defensive coordinator, has compared Joe Burrow to Tom Brady, and this is someone who has to watch him extensively. So seems like could be a natural fit. And my God, you think about the Bengals offense already with those 3 receivers. You had Gronk into the mix, who's still playing at a high level since his return. I think it'd be interesting, right? It'd be a really cool part of the offseason. So my grand guarantee is that he will not retire, RJ. So I saved myself in the show.
It will be interesting in that sort of just because of who he is and the things he said and the fact that he's played with Tom and that's like been all his, career. Whoever Gronk chooses in free agency will sort of it will sort of be this like crowning of that quarterback. You know what I'm saying? Like They will have the Gronk seal of approval. I have a prediction for who that team's going to be, and it's going to bother you.
Who is it?
The LA Chargers. Gronk's been tasting life in Tampa. He's not going to go live in Cincinnati. Let's be real. You know what I mean? The Bengals don't even have an indoor practice facility. Gronk is not about that life. Gronk wants to head to LA, play with Herbie, the best quarterback in the AFC West, and party and live it. Let's go. He'll relaunch Entourage.
I don't know if you know this, RJ, but I'm a dynasty fantasy guy, and though I am a Chiefs man, right? I also happen to be a closet Donald Parham truther, and that would really undercut. We talked about ESPN and the undercut. That would really undercut my guy Donnie P. And so hopefully that doesn't happen for a lot of reasons.
Okay. Good one. Not great. I mean, like really embarrassing that's your last one. That's the one you want to walk off on and leave the taste in people's mouths with.
I feel like I've had some solid predictions, and I feel like, you know what? Okay, say what you want about them. I'm going 4 for 4. I mean, I'd almost eat a turkey if I didn't go 4 for 4.
I forgot it. Okay. I was going to make my last one. This is my honorable mention. So, Steven, sorry if this was yours. That Lamar Jackson becomes the highest paid player in NFL history. That is an honorable mention for mine, not my 4th one. But here we go. I guarantee.
No, too hot.
That this will happen.
All right.
a quarterback whose first name, everybody loves Wardle right now, whose first name is 4 letters long, will be moved on from his team by trade or by release. All right. Candidates for this: Kirk Cousins, 4 letters we're talking about here, Matt Ryan, not Matthew, Matt, and Ryan Tannehill. Notice I left off Aaron Rodgers. I'm not going to count Russell as Russ. That, would be a little bit of a loophole. I'm not going to do that. Derek Carr not on this list. Carson Wentz didn't take that low-hanging fruit. A quarterback whose first name is 4 letters and 4 letters precisely will be moved on from by his team.
Who were the 3 again?
Kirk, Matt as in Ryan, and then Ryan as in Tannehill. So
Matt Ryan seems like the least likely of them to me. I think the Titans are reaching a boiling point.
You could also, by the way, go Drew Lock. I don't really count him, but somebody wanted to give me the credit for that, and none of the others have, and I'd take it.
I mean, if you want to back your way into being right, yeah.
And Tua doesn't meet the threshold, just to be clear.
No. I don't like the idea of Matt Ryan. I still think they go one more year with Matt. They're saying a lot of the things that they did at the end of last season. Not that always means anything, but where do you go? I don't think you're bringing in another. The draft class isn't good enough this year. You're not bringing in another one to replace Ryan. However, I look at Tannehill. To me, there's some smoke building there that, okay, he is just not the guy to get us over the hump. It reminds me a lot of the Kansas City Alex Smith era, where they just were like, man, we got everything else, but this guy just is not good enough to get us over the hump. So I wonder if that is a possibility. Kirk is a very
it kind of
interesting one.
Sorry, it reminds me of Tennessee with Marcus Mariota. Like, that's what it reminds me of. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
same sort of thing.
Kirk is interesting because,
and again, it's first names here, so Derek Carr does not count.
Right. I think Kirk is interesting because the Minnesota Vikings, they've hired, a new head coach. They're kind of changing from where they were, Kevin O'Connell of the Rams. And I wonder, if O'Connell ends up going through what he just went through again with McVay, where he starts to build this team and maybe you can get so far and then eventually.
You're saying Kirk is his Goff, also 4 letters long.
Right. I mean, this is really, I think, unbelievable as far as the parallels. And yeah, so I wonder if this becomes the same type of situation. And because O'Connell has learned from that and says to himself, look, at the end of the day, I'm going to say the right things at the press conference, right? Because I might have to do it for 1 year. This is not our guy. This is not my guy. It can't be. I've told you how much I have disdain. There's 2 quarterbacks I kill on this show, and it's Kirk and it's Derek Carr. It always ends up happening. So I think I like the idea of them making the quick flip. The problem, and this is what we always run into in the NFL, is there's not 32 starting quarterbacks in the league. So sometimes you got to roll with Kirk for 1 year. But I think, like with Goff, it'll be a very I have to do this type of thing. We'll take it as far as it can go. But you're always going to be looking for, well, who can we get to actually take us to the next level?
So you love my prediction. Well said. Steven, from the second wave of predictions, which one did you like the most and why? I won round 1. So it's important to know who won round 2. Was it me? Was it Pete? We're waiting for you to join us so we can see your lovely face.
I'm struggling to remember all of Pete's because I feel like they've been forgettable. So I'm gonna go with LJ. The 4-letter quarterback is just a clever way of looking at the free agent quarterback market.
The fact that you guys are being so disrespectful to the president of Monday Football Monday on President's Day is incredible. But you know what? I'm a good leader.
Steven's a fan of creativity. This Gronk won't retire. Like that. I mean, that is so lame.
Steve actually noted in here, and I didn't even realize this, Uzama is a free agent, so it's even more likely that he's going to be a Bengal. And I can't wait to see him in those beautiful Bengal stripes, man. And what a storyline for the AFC. Anyway, go ahead.
Well, Steven, congratulations to me. But let's hear your second one. And I am very positive that your 2 will be better than Pete's 4.
So I can't. So just so I have this straight, I can't do quarterbacks now, right? Because we've kind of we've been hanging out in quarterback lane.
Tapped out the quarterback, so, yeah. Tapped out
honorable mention: Jameis Winston to the Steelers, Marcus Mariota starter for the Colts.
Wow, Even though you liked my luck thing, although you really liked the fact that it was just rumors, so that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, just rumors, because Marcus Mariota is going to be the starter for the Colts next season.
Okay. See, Pete, we even gave honorable mentions. Take a page out of our books. Jeez.
Yeah. Seems like a pick on Pete type of day, which is fine. You know what? I can wear it. Look, I've got a lot of years.
Pete, Steven is talking. Steven, I'm sorry on behalf of Pete.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Okay. What is it? Offseason guarantee number 10.
Oh my.
The Atlanta Falcons will trade wide receiver Calvin Ridley. It's got to. He's going to play for another team. I'm happy that Calvin took time away from the game to get his mentals right this season. I know that he is a very talented player, and we have not seen his ceiling yet as an NFL wide receiver, in my opinion. And whatever team gets him is going to get a superstar caliber player.
Calvin Ridley,
I have a pick for the team.
Holdout has like a little bit of Ramsey, I think, to it too. I don't think he's ever going to play for the Falcons again. Just kind of like Ramsey did that one year with the Jags. He just, my back hurts, that type of thing. Not to say that Ridley didn't need the time off. They're not exactly the same, but I think we knew at a certain point Ramsey was not playing for the Jaguars again, and I think we're there with Ridley as well.
Pete, who's going to trade for him? Who's that team? Steven's going to throw out some bonus points.
No, it's the Kansas City Chiefs. Yeah, the Chiefs flip a couple picks and call it a day, and that's it for the AFC. I mean, like I said,
you guys are wrong. You're wrong. It's a different team whose logo starts with a C and is also red and white, like the Chiefs, the Arizona Cardinals. All right, Kyler. Little bit of.
You're gonna change him you're gonna trade him in conference. That's what you think. That you don't think they're gonna want him.
You're right. Nobody would ever do that. Not like Melvin Ingram was traded within this conference to the Kansas City Chiefs. You're right, Pete. It's impossible.
Totally forgot about that, man. Thank you for reminding me.
The Browns are a big option for me, but at this point, I don't want to pair anybody with Baker Mayfield. I don't want to do
That's what I'm saying. Like, if you're Calvin and you're like, I'm getting out of ATL, like, you don't want to go to Cleveland. You know what I mean? Like, you want to keep things similar. You want to keep an A. You want to keep similar color scheme. You know what I mean? You don't have to go.
He doesn't have it.
Don't want your Instagram to look different with like that was a thing. You could tell right away that Carson Wentz wasn't going to make it. That blue was so different from the Philly green. Like, it was just not going to happen.
Well, I think that was part of what he liked, right? New blue, new me. No.
Pete, which of Stevens did you like better? The first one that Dalton Schultz would get overpaid in free agency. The second that Calvin Ridley would be traded by the Atlanta Falcons.
Well, probably the Schultz, because it's a little bit maybe like off the beaten path. I felt like the Ridley one was something that everybody kind of knows already. Yeah.
Wow. For what it's worth, I liked both of yours, Steven.
You made me decide, right?
No. For what it's worth, I won the game.
For what it's worth, Steve's predictions are like my children. I really don't want to pick one, but if you back me into a corner, I'm going to send one to private school.
Thank you, RJ. I know Pete had a rough weekend. He's jet lagged. He's tired.
That's right.
He's trying to get caught up.
That's okay. I did have a terrible weekend when it came to the end of it, for sure. I mean, the travel situation was madness. But I feel good this morning. Yeah.
Point of advice from Pete to people. Just double check the reservations. You know what I'm saying? Just maybe call ahead, text, check in. They got your phone is such a powerful device, Pete.
Did I sleep on the floor of a conference room in a Marriott because my room was given away and there were no hotels in the rest of the city? That might have happened to me this weekend. So I would say double check the reservations. I guarantee this off season I will double check every single reservation from here on out, because I can't let that happen to my back again.
Whose list did you like the most? Let us know on Twitter. Pete is at PG Sweeney. Steven is at Steven Serta. That's Steven PH. I am at RJ Ochoa.
Yeah, I have a feeling that people are going to side with your boy. So it's just
Pete, yours again, being completely objective, yours were super lame and unoriginal and vanilla yogurt, to use your own words. Mine were super creative. I went to the television broadcast angle. I used numbers and letters. I mean, again, like wordling it up
right now. You know what I'm saying? You talk about four letter. I got a four-letter word for you. Won't say it.
Okay. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Make sure to subscribe to the SB Nation NFL show wherever you get your podcast. Leave a rating, write a review. You can watch along with the show on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. That about does it for this edition of Monday Football Monday. Pete Sweeney, sing us a song and take us out of here. Go.
Rob Gronkowski to the Bengals. Billy Joel.
Wow. Shout out to William.